Travis Bay. And tonight, we're gonna do some real brief. We're gonna talk about the rule of Moorish law. Okay. Uh, how y'all doing tonight? I'm gonna wait a few minutes to see if some people gonna come in. It. Woo. Let me get my hurry braided, man. I done had these things up high for like 2 months. No, I'm exaggerating. Probably about a month. I meant to say about 3 weeks. Yeah, about a month. So the rule of Moorish law. Uh, Principle. No one is above the law. All right, and everyone is subject to the law. Let me see. Hold on, right quick. Oh, I'm back, y'all. I'm gonna get this together right quick. Y'all in the game. All right, so. All right, so everyone is subject to the law. Associations, presumptions of innocent until proven guilty. You got double jeopardy. Cannot be tried for the same offense more than once. And legal equity. All right. Then we're gonna go down to theories of law. All right. You got natural law, theological, all laws based on God. Secular, based on inherent good. Positivism. Law is what is passed by the parliament, right? So Professor Joseph Rye said rule of law can exist with a legal system pursuing moral good. Well, without a legal system pursuing moral good. Law must be clear. It must be publicized. So, it has to be public record. Everyone must know about it. It must be stable. Not necessarily unamendable, but distinct and definable. Not impossible to adhere to. And it shouldn't be non-contradictory. Accessible and independent judiciary. Noted that the contemporary context of the separation of powers is that the judiciary must be independent. Professor Joseph Rye says that we must consider the rule of law, the perception of laws themselves, as well as adherence and governance by it must be in line with the independence of the judiciary, as much as laws as the law themselves, and the adjudication must be. You're gonna rotate the device. I can't rotate the device. I got good. Okay. Yeah, so put this back. So independent of the judiciary, as much as the laws themselves, and the adjudication leverage must be accessible to the citizen. On the other hand, you got Professor Lon Fuller, who said that the legal system must serve the needs of the people. If it is to be obeyed, it must be in the best interest of the people, in order for the people to take it serious so that they won't revolt. And if you notice, man, a lot of people are starting to revolt against the United States. I've seen a record number of this sovereign citizens movement, and it's just really increasing, man. I'm starting to notice more and more people are becoming sovereign citizens, like they don't want to adhere to the law. because they feel like it's not in their best interest. Uh, A.V. Dicey stated that the supremacy of regular law as opposed to the influence of arbitrary power, equality of all cases to the ordinary law, administered by the court, by ordinary courts. Laws of the Constitution is the consequence of the rights of the individual, as defined and enforced by the courts. John Rawl noted that similar cases must be treated alike. So if you notice, like, you see like a lot of precedents being set. You got case laws that are being referred to, depending on what the case is. So the laws must be known. Laws must abide by natural justice. We can also note from A.V. Dicey, John Rawl, Professor Rise, and even Professor Fuller is that the whole notion of the rule of law is to meticulously protect the rights and liberties of individuals as opposed to the states. So just keep in mind, y'all, there is a distinction between civil rights and civil liberties. Your civil rights are based on the legal notion of discrimination, and your civil liberties is what is protected by your Bill of Rights. Also, it notes that whatever laws that have come about and would come about in the future will only be adhered to if it is in the best moral interest and of moral good to the society at large and to the citizen themselves. Note that we have a foundation for the concept of the rule of law and the summary of it. So we're gonna move on, and I'm gonna give y'all a brief outline of certain other aspects of the rule of law. And there have been many that have been compounded, or several views that have been compounded over the many decades and centuries. Let's go down, man. Let's look on the laptop. Yeah, I decided to put something together for y'all right quick, man. I'm tired. I'm ready to go to sleep. So there have been several views that have been compounded over the many decades and centuries. But one notable aspect of the rule of law and understand in this principle and concept being compounded by Hobbes, in which he stated that the rule of law deals with the surrendering of rights to procure security, the whole concept of social contract. Hutchinson, on the other hand, notes that it must be a government of laws, not men. The whole premise of the rule of law is that it is not an arbitrary power that has control over a citizen or a state, rather a set of rules, a set of laws that have been created by a collective body contemporarily for the benefit of greater good for society at large. However, when we talk about the rule of law, A.V. Dicey explanation of the three pillars in terms of the rule of law is very important to discuss. And in this light, firstly, he notes no punishment without a breach of the law. Secondly, everyone is equal before the law. And thirdly, rights are best protected under common law. Having said that, in the first modern day context, we see that there has been many criticisms aimed at Dicey's three pillars. Firstly, in terms of there being no punishment without a breach, we see that there are instances where the depression of the executive rescinds this particular pillar. Jennings quite clearly noted where, in the instance of land being acquired during wartime, the whole premise for punishment not occurring without breach is completely set aside. Sometime this week, man, I'm gonna follow this up with the Law of War manual, y'all. So, Islam and peace and love, man. I just wanted to do something before I went to bed, man. So I was kind of bored. So peace and love, y'all. It's Governor Travis Bay. I'm signing out. And I'll get back to y'all sometime this week, maybe tomorrow, depending on how I'm feeling. I'm out.